Hi, I'm Rocco Stano, and we're celebrating the 75th anniversary of Golden Books. And who better to have as a guest than Leonard S, children's book historian and critic, the author of The Golden Legacy, the story of Golden Books. Welcome, Leonard. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Rocco. It's great to be with you.
What led you to this book?
Well, I've been writing about the history of children's books for some time, and Golden Books were the children's books that I grew up with.
You're not 75.
No, but they were everywhere by the time I came along in the 50s. And they were the books that baby boomers grew up with, you know, and I'm definitely in that group.
Do you remember any one particular Golden Book from your childhood?
I remember two.
Oh.
Though I should say that I had a whole shelf of them. And at 3 and 4 years old, I thought that the spines on the books really were gold. So I lined them up so that I had this kind of gold brick in my bedroom. I was very proud of that. But what I did was, I found that Golden Books were very useful. People probably wouldn't think of them in that connection at first, but I had all these older relatives who were always asking me what I was going to be when I grew up, when we got together at family parties. And there was a book, little golden book called When I Grow Up. And page after page, it had different sort of scenarios for what you could do. So I can remember being lying on the rug in my room at probably around the age of 3, thinking, should I become a gas station attendant? Should I become a cowboy? Mm-hmm. And that got me through a lot of Thanksgivings.
Yes, and I'm sure your family's happy that you went into children's books.
Well, children's book historian was not on the menu, but I had to find that on my own.
75 years ago, how did Golden Books actually begin?
I think it's a pretty interesting story. They launched in October '42, just months after the U.S. entered the Second World War. An unlikely time to start a new business, except for the fact that the printing company, which was one of the partners along with Simon & Schuster in the creation of Golden Books, was also making all the maps for the U.S. military. So they had a really big paper allotment at a time of rationing. And more importantly, Eleanor Roosevelt, as the First Lady, was recommending to all the millions of mothers who read her daily column, My Day, to read to your child at night, to keep them feeling safe and calm. And Golden Books were the books that were there for them to read. When Golden Books started, picture books cost $2 typically. A Golden Book cost 25 cents. Mm-hmm. And that was possible because the people who started the company found a new way of printing, producing the books and also marketing them. In America in those days, there were very few bookstores, but they were selling Golden Books in Woolworths and in drugstores.
Was there a first Golden Book, or there were several Golden Books?
They started with 12, and 11 of the 12 were very generic, predictable subjects, like an ABC book, a book of fairy tales, and so on. The 12th was the Poky Little Puppy.
I've heard of that book.
That was a standout. For whatever reason, it was the one that people liked the most of all.
75 years in print,
mm-hmm.
And so I must have sold a few copies.
I don't think anybody knows the exact number, but it's into the hundreds of millions.
You're kidding, 100 million?
No, millions, yeah.
Millions?
Yeah, it's not just America either. After World War II, Golden Books spread to Europe, and then not so long after the end of the war to Japan as well.
Who is responsible for the creation of the Poky Little Puppy?
The artist is a man named Gustav Tenggren. Mm-hmm. He was born in Sweden. He was kind of a prodigy, was publishing art in his teens, but he saw America as the place to be. So very early on he came here, tried to do some magazine work, then Walt Disney discovered him in the 30s. And this was just when Disney was getting ready to make his first animated features, starting with Snow White. So Tenggren was in Hollywood working on Snow White, and in fact he was responsible for the look of the Seven Dwarfs. So now, imagine a labor dispute, which is what happened at Disney. The artists wanted to unionize, Disney said no. World War II came along. Then a lot of the disaffected animators and artists from the Disney studio went east and ended up doing Golden Books. So Tenggren was one of them. He brought that same lighthearted appeal of the animated characters into that book. I think that has a lot to do with why it has lasted so long. They almost kind of leap off the page. Now, the writer of the book, Jeanette Lowry, had a very disappointing career for the most part. She was a Texas writer. She was going to be the Laura Ingalls Wilder of Texas. She wanted to write historical fiction for teen girls with a Texas history background, but she had complicated family issues. So she didn't write nearly as much as she was capable of doing. But a friend of hers said to her, here's the chance for you to earn an extra $75. There's this new company starting. It's going to be called Golden Books. So she wrote the Poky Little Puppy as a one-off, work-for-hire story. And it ended up being the most popular children's book, a picture book in history. I can show you a picture of her.
Sure, please.
This is one of the very few photographs of her. There had been a local article about her in the San Antonio Press, maybe 50 years ago. And I started trying to track down the photo archive of that newspaper, which no longer exists. It ended up leading me to one of the local universities, and they had the photo, not realizing that she had done anything notable in her life. But that's where I found the picture.
How long did it take to actually create this book?
Well, there probably are two answers. Probably 2 years of intense work, but at that point I'd already written about a lot of the artists and writers who were featured in it and had met quite a few of them. So years of prior experience came to my aid.
Before the program, we were discussing the cover, but can you tell us a little bit about this?
First of all, it's an amazing feat of graphic design because you have images from 3 different golden books by different artists, each of them kind of busy, but somehow coming together in a harmonious way that communicates the message that Golden Books was a kind of magnet for a number of talented artists, each of whom had their own style. So the top band is by Gustav Tengren, and that of course is the Poky Little Puppy and family. The middle band is by Mary Blair. Now she is one of the great artists from Disney who ended up coming to the East after the Second World War, and that attraction at the Disney theme parks, It's a Small, Small World, was completely designed by her. She's a real cult figure, and the artists at Pixar revere her. And if you look at Pixar animations, you'll see the influence of Mary Blair. Disney himself regarded her as his artistic conscience. She was the great colorist and the great, in a sense, visual thinker who informed everything that he did during the 50s and 60s. So the last one on the bottom is by Tibor Gergely. And Gergely was a Hungarian Jew who fled the Nazis and came to New York in the early 1940s. And he was a socialist. And you couldn't go around describing yourself that way in New York in those days. But he did have a chance, through Golden Books, to do many books that honored the work of working class people. And a book about firemen, a book about policemen, a book called The Happy Man and His Dump Truck. Those are all Golden Books that were about working with your hands, making the world work better through your labor.
And we have a Mary Blair book here. Tell us about it.
I Can Fly is a book with a very simple rhyme, and it's a great read-aloud book, and it's very playful.
Collecting Golden Books also is it's popular with adults of our age. So if I were to be going to a flea market or garage sale, what is like the most sought after Golden Book? My
advice would just be to choose something you like, because condition matters, in the collectible world, and the chance and the indication of whether a book is a first printing or not is so confusing that you are very unlikely to come away with something that would be rare in the collectible sense.
Right.
But there's so much good art that I think a lot of people collect them just on that basis. There are certain artists who have cults that have grown up around them, newsletters, conventions devoted only to that one artist. And one of those, Mary Blair, I've already mentioned, but another one is Eloise Wilkin. And I'm going to show you a picture from one of her books. She was famous for making exquisite
beautiful.
drawings of young children. People used to write her fan letters saying, "Where did you get a photo of my child to base your illustration on?" And a very interesting woman. She lived in upstate New York and marched in the Vietnam War, in protest, and was very moral and political, but also an exquisite artist. One of the other things that she did that had a sort of political slant to it was she put children of color in her illustrations before almost anybody else was doing that. She also designed dolls, and one of her dolls, her most famous one, was called Baby Doll, and it was made with a kind of synthetic material that felt like human flesh. So it was by far the most realistic doll that had been created up until that point. So I want to show you this photograph of a policeman, which was made around the time that a little golden book called The Fat Little Policeman by Margaret Weiss Brown was published. And it's a great example of how brilliant they were at marketing their books. If you were in the Police Academy of New York City and graduated, you would typically be presented at graduation with your badge and a revolver. That year they also got a copy of The Fat Little Policeman, and then they made sure to get a photograph, publicity photograph, that could be used all over.
We talked about two of the golden books here. We have some others. We have the fire engine book.
Yeah, well this, has to have been one of my favorites because I lived near a firehouse in suburban New York, and I would get to go climbing on the trucks all the time. And this is another one of Tibor Gergely's books, that Hungarian I mentioned. There's so much energy and humor and, sense of racing to the rescue that I think this book is just irresistible for the kids who are in that age, around 3 or 4, when things that go are one of their passions.
You mentioned Margaret Weiss Brown, so she did a few golden books.
She did the Seven Little Postmen. Here it is, and she co-wrote it with the wife of the illustrator of Goodnight Moon, Edith Thatcher Hurd. They collaborated on the writing of these books. And this was a book that they called part of their little civics series, meaning they were making books that explained to young children how everyday life works. Like what happens when you mail a letter? Where does it go? How does it get to the person you're sending it to? This is by Picture Dictionary by Bob Stack. People who read The New Yorker will know that he does a lot of covers for that magazine.
Your book, The Golden Legacy, was originally published in 2005?
10 years ago, yeah.
Oh, 2007. But it's been reissued.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that.
Yes, so
with a snappy new cover.
Yes, with this snappy new cover. We've learned a lot about golden books. I really want to thank you for sharing all your knowledge and sharing some of the photos in the book.
Sure.
And it's The Golden Legacy, the story of golden books. And we still have golden books. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Rocco. This was a pleasure.
Yeah. We have Kate Clark with us. And Kate, you're president of Yottoy. For those that may not be familiar with it, why don't you tell us a little bit about Yottoy?
Sure. Well, Yottoy is toy spelled backwards and forwards. It's just Yottoy, because we're in the toy business from so many different directions, and we bring beloved storybooks to life with companion toys. Many of those are soft toys. They range from classic to contemporary, such as golden books being ultra classic, Madeline, Paddington Bear, Corduroy Bear, lots of true classics as well as contemporary titles and characters like Mo Willems' Pigeon, Knuffle Bunny, Elephant and Piggy, Greg Pazzoli toys. So we offer something for everyone to bring generations together.
Now, for the 75th anniversary of Golden Books, Yottoy has a few, not surprises, but a few special things. Why don't you tell us what they are?
Sure, we're so excited about Golden Book's 75th anniversary because we always design toys that are about bringing generations together of children, parents, and grandparents. But with Golden Books, We even have great-grandparents that are here that want to share these stories with their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. So yes, today we've designed a commemorative 75th collection, 75th anniversary collection that include the shy little kitten. And we really have worked very hard to capture the character of the real shy little kitten.
I love the eyes.
She's perfectly shy, and we've made all of these characters in the size to go along with the book. So all of our toys are made of super soft plush, making them totally huggable and lovable. Also a little bit plump, so you can really cuddle Tawny and feel all soothed and warm and cozy. And it's super, super soft. Feel that, Rocco.
I love it. Oh. And he's cute too.
And then we have Scuffy the tugboat, who goes on many, many adventures. Scuffy wants to go out into the world and explore more than the bathtub. This is Saggy Baggy Elephant, and we've designed Saggy Baggy complete with his sags and his bags. Again, bringing the story to life and capturing the real character of Saggy Baggy in all of the pages of the book.
And all of these come in 2 sizes, right?
Yes, they do. This size we sized perfectly for the books. The original format of the little golden books that were sold in grocery stores.
And we have the small Pokey.
Right,
that
we
goes
have
with
the
book
small
right there.
Poky Puppy, and each one of our toys comes with the commemorative 75th anniversary medallion. And then we also have a larger size. You can see the comparison between the smaller one as well as the larger one.
How much does this big guy cost?
$5 retail at Kohl's for a special exclusive program for Kohl's Cares.
Tell us about the Kohl's Care program.
Well, 100% of the profits of Kohl's Cares goes to health initiatives in communities nationwide. And we designed these large format, soft plush animals of 5 Golden Book characters, of Scuffy, Tawny Scrawny Lion, Shy Kitten, Saggy Baggy Elephant, and of course the beloved Poky Puppy, as well as storybook collections to be in Kohl's Cares for summer.
Show us the storybook collection.
So there are going to be 4 storybook collections and Kohl's Cares with 3 different stories within each collection, large format. Of course, all of them have the signature Golden Books gold foil spine. Large format, beautiful illustrations of the original illustrations of the Golden Books. This one has Tawny Scrawny Lion as well as the Jolly Barnyard, the beloved Toodle. This storybook collection has the Shy Little Kitten, the Little Red Hen, and
Little
the Little
Red Hen.
Caboose.
That was my favorite as a child, the Little Red Hen.
It's an incredible story. These are all true Golden Book classics. And then the Saggy Baggy Elephant with the Sailor Dog and Scuffy the Tugboat.
Another fun book for adults is Everything I Need to Know I Learned from a Little Golden Book by Diane Muldrow. Now, you know Diane.
Diane is wonderful.
Yeah, now she works at Random House.
She's the editor of Little Golden Books.
And so I guess that was her inspiration for this book.
Absolutely. Diane knows everything there ever was about a Little Golden Book.
Kate, thank you so much for sharing what Yottoy is doing for the 75th anniversary of Golden Books.
Oh, thank you. And enjoy.
Oh, thank you. Oh. Remember, until next time, give a kid a book in any format.